Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the SmarkTank Revolution, where we always kick out at 2. I am your solo content host once again. Joey, welcome to the big time business. So, the reason I'm hopping on the horn tonight for your auditory pleasure, and it is your auditory pleasure, is that I just finished WWE's latest PLE offering, which was the NXT brand, and they had their No Mercy pay per view tonight. Now, um, I gotta say, going into the show, it wasn't one that I was clamoring for or really looking forward to at all. Basically, it was a one trick, no, not Williams, but pony. For me, it was about Becky versus Tiffany Stratton. Obviously, everyone knows how big of a Bex fan I am. So, her being injected into the brand has brought, at least on my end, a lot more intrigue and viewership. That's not to say, though, it's not doing well. I really got to sit down and fully watch this from soup to nuts, which is pretty much the first NXT pay per view, especially or PLE of this NXT era that I've watched live in its entirety. Again, not to say that they've been bad, but they haven't really captured the magic, in my view, of the black and gold Triple H era when, you had every superstar under the sun who is now a main event caliber or mainstay roster talent. So they struggled, especially, a couple years ago with the reinvigoration through Bruce Pritchard and Vince. And I mean, I'll just call a spade a spade. That iteration was awful. It was very lackluster, no heart, just paint by numbers. Here's your talent. Here's a match. Like, it felt like in between a step from Dynamite to Rampage, just kind of on that level, never really achieving. Since Triple H has taken it over, I think over a year and a half, almost 2 years now, I'm sorry, since Shawn Michaels and, the new creative team, it's really hit its stride again. Started off rocky, didn't quite hit or elevate to the heights of the black and gold era. Still hasn't for a whole, in my view. But of course, there were some shining stars in that era. And for me, unequivocally, the best thing about the pre-reboot era was Mandy Rose and Toxic Attraction and their ascension. I mean, that kept me watching week after week, not just because Mandy Rose is one of the most gorgeous beings walking the earth, but because of how much she transformed during that run. She just kept getting better. She was the counterpart to Roman Reigns in a female capacity because no other female on any of the main brands or other brands, I hate calling them main. I feel like NXT has earned its spot as a contemporary third brand of equal value. But Mandy Rose really elevated herself. She became a champion to watch, and as we all know, her story was cut in a very unsatisfying ending. No happy ending there, unfortunately. So the women in the NXT brand, as far as I'm concerned, have really struggled with the vacuum that Mandy Rose left. They haven't quite found that, not just replacement, but that star that can fill that void and create that buzz. They have some really good women talent, though. I must say that. They really, really do. And that's, again, kudos to WWE for cultivating it. They do know how to polish and, cultivate talent. Again, if you're listening to this, this is the same week that former AEW TBS champion, who was on a very long undefeated streak, Miss Jade Cargill, is now part of the WWE TKO umbrella, which it only means good things. For me, I have tremendous positivity about Jade ascending in the WWE brand wherever they put her. She has that it factor that you don't need to polish. Get her working the way of the company and help her on some character development and obviously some mic skills, and she'll be good to go. She is a viable threat to not only Rhea, but Charlotte, Becky, and Bailey and Asuka, any of the main big time women stars. She's an instant threat. And if they do it right, she's going to be magic, especially against Bianca Belair. But I digress. That was a very long opening. We're here to talk No Mercy. So speaking of No Mercy, they always do an intro to every PLE. And this one was really, it really resonated with me. And I very much enjoyed it. Because the name is No Mercy, they did the intro and graphics for all the wrestlers as if they were part of the original retro N64 No Mercy game. And that was really creative. I haven't seen or expected anything like that. And I will stand on the hill. I will die on it. You can bury me under it, and I will crawl back out. That No Mercy to this day for N64 remains the greatest wrestling video game of all time on any platform. Fight me. They've never recreated that magic. There was nothing like playing No Mercy. And even so, with the limited graphics and, pixels, there still isn't. Nothing has come close. It doesn't matter how 4K, 8K, ULED, whatever. It doesn't replace the heart of that game. And I'm pretty sure my co-host will agree. Also, speaking of Donnie, we have been doing separate content, which we do for you, but it's just because we're on different trajectories and we can't always connect. But we are very close and we talk almost every day. So rest assured. Big Time Donnie, once again, is on his way back from Vegas for the huge boxing match that took place this week, and he was covering it. So kudos to Donnie. Very proud of you, bro. You always do big things, and I just expect them to get bigger and bigger, and just love watching the journey and you letting me be part of it. But yeah, so they introed with No Mercy. That was wonderful. And then we got into our first match. And our first match was, again, not a match I was interested in all actuality. It was Braun Breaker versus Baron Corbin. Everyone knows my stance on Baron Corbin. It's no secret if you've ever listened to this program, but I have softened over the past months because I do think NXT is a very good fit for him. He just seems to gel there. However, I don't agree with him being this gatekeeper for up and coming stars. I think it isn't a wise booking move, and it does nothing for both Corbin, who doesn't need the wins, or his opponent. And again, you can see where I'm going with this. Caught the match. They have been trying to build it as this epic encounter, this blood feud. It hasn't grabbed me. They've done all the pull apart brawls. They've done the backstage stuff. They've done the parking lot slamming on the car, everything that, two big guys would do. it just it does nothing. It hasn't sparked anything for me. This wasn't an overly long match. Wasn't anything special. Um, nothing to really bite on. Uh, Scratching my head though at the win. Again, Baron Corbin got the win over Braun, which I don't understand. That can only logically mean this is continuing. And I think it does Braun absolutely no favors. Braun's a beast. He's got a lot of potential, but I think he's overstayed his welcome in NXT. And they are becoming dangerously close to missing his window for him to be something when he goes to any of the other brands. I think Raw could use him as a new face, but I don't know. Even though Corbin got the cheap win, it really, in my eyes, hurts Braun. Doesn't elevate Corbin, does nothing for him. He doesn't need the win. And I don't know where they're going to go. Unfortunately, I think they're going to continue the feud that no one asked for. And I think it will hurt Braun even more the longer he's stuck on the feud. As far as the match rating goes, I give it a 2. They tried. It wasn't horrendously egregious. It just wasn't interesting. And I'll leave it at that. The next match was one that I was looking forward to in its original incarnation, but the replacement I was okay with was Dirty Dom, Commissary Dom, as Donnie likes to refer to him, defending his North American title against Trick Williams. Now, I like Trick. Trick is a really good talent. He's interesting. He's got charisma. He's good in the ring. I have no issue with him. The only thing I didn't like was there was really no explanation. He was just shoehorned into this because, unfortunately, WWE let go Mustafa Ali when he started gaining traction. And true to WWE, no explanation, no storyline, no nothing to, right the ship. Just, okay, here it is. And Dragon Lee was inserted as the referee, which works because him and Dom have been kind of going back and forth. Now, as far as the match goes, it was good. And one thing I will say is I've been reading and hearing, the commentary about Dominic Mysterio not being good in the ring. I don't know who the hell's saying that. This kid is leaps and bounds ahead of where he was about a year and a half ago. Leaps and bounds. He continues to improve. He knows how to read a crowd. He knows how to direct a match. He's really good at playing his role. And no one on any roster, on any wrestling promotion right now, gets more heat than Dom Dom when he's on the mic. That's just something special. And, kind of another head scratcher here. I didn't figure we were going to get this. Didn't seem like a important show, which again, I was pleasantly surprised at the end result of the whole night. But I didn't expect any title change. I expected a good match and, Dom to eke it out with nefarious means, but that wasn't the case. Trick got the win. He got the title. And Dom's going to go back to mommy empty-handed. Interesting what will develop from this in Rhea's short absence, because the Judgment Day still have the titles, which, by the way, if anyone else who is listening is with me, I am extremely sick of every week watching Raw 2010 episodes. And what I mean by that is every single week opens with a Judgment Day or Cody promo, and almost every single week ends with a main event variation of either a 6-man or a tag team with Kevin, Sammy, and Cody against the Judgment Day. They really got to move on, get something new into this, because it has gotten stale so very fast. There's a reason why Raw's, captained by Seth Rollins right now for the men, because it's just, I love Cody, Sammy, and Kevin. I love the Judgment Day, but it's boring as shit. Like, I've seen it 100 times. I'm over it now. Please move on. Especially if they're going to keep the title, just move on. Find something new. That being said, yeah, Trick got the win. I'm happy for him. It elevates him. I think he's a deserving North American champion. Like I said, he's very capable. Just kind of don't see why Dom had to lose on this stage. I think it should have been saved for something bigger, especially with all the work he's put in and, the steam he's been getting. I just, not my call, but I'll respect it. So we got Trick, and he's the new champ, which fine by me. The match was a 2.5 count. I'm gonna be, a little bit more deliberate with my rankings this particular listen, because sometimes I tend to just throw out 3 counts like candy. It was good, but nothing you wouldn't expect to see main event a Raw or a SmackDown, or even a important NXT weekly. So it was good. Move the show along. Surprising end. So that's why it's a 2.5 instead of just a 2. But yeah, and then the next match was the 4-way tag. Now, I definitely apologize to people who are fans of these tag teams, but that is, in my view, where this NXT era really is faltering. I just, there's no tag teams that I personally can bite onto. And so much the fact that I have to look at paper to remember who they are, and I still don't know. I know that the champions are the family, and they have like a mafioso gimmick, which, you know, it's been tried before multiple times in multiple ways, and it doesn't always seem to stick. But this time around, it seems better, and I can buy the team in the gimmick, so I'm cool with it. And yeah, they have a good presence as champions. Then you've got the I have to see. I have to look it up again because I really don't know these teams, and that's a blight on me. And I apologize, folks. Let me see here who the teams are. And this is being done real time, so you're getting real live time. Let's see. Just trying not to have dead air. Let me see. Let me see. Come on. Okay. Oh, here we go. Oh no, one more time. Yeah, these teams mean nothing to me. I apologize. Okay, so you got the family, Tony D'Angelo, and Channing Lorenzo. Then you've got the Creed brothers, Julius and Brutus. You've got OTM. That was what was escaping me, which is Lucian Price and Bronco Nima. And then you've got Umberto and Angel. Again, nothing that grabs me. Average teams, I think AEW definitely takes the win in the tag division right now of the two feds, because NXT, I honestly don't care. So the match was a match. It was good, decent fatal 4-way. I honestly didn't pay attention to it too much. So again, really apologize if any of you guys are fans of these teams. Just don't grab me. It's just not for me. I give the match a 2. Again, it was mechanical. It was fine. The champs retain. I think it was the right call. I do know that there's a big fanfare about the Creed brothers. I don't get it. Like, to me, it's American Alpha Light, both incarnations. I think American Alpha is a much better presentation of that type of gimmick, but it's not up to me. So yeah, champs retain. They go on. They're probably going to have a pizza. And yeah, that's that. The next one was the Heritage Cup with Noam Dar, who is the current holder, versus Butch, otherwise known as, oh God, now it's uh, Pete Dunne, the bruiserweight. I really wish they would go back to Pete Dunne. I think he had a lot to offer. He was such a badass. This was a good match. Very back and forth. All the things you would expect from these two. Butch is really, really talented. I think he deserves a bigger spotlight, but I'm okay with him being in these type of matches right now. I just remember him being Pete Dunne in NXT UK, and he was so impressive. Like for his size and his stature, he is an unbelievable force. So I give the match a 3. It was definitely, in ring quality was really, really well done. I didn't follow the story, so it didn't get me emotionally. I wasn't super invested, but their ring work made me care about it. And it was the first match. I mean, I cared about Dom, but it was the first match on the show that woke me up completely. And I was like, okay. So yeah, I give it a 3, and I'll stand by that. Now, from there, we go to our co-main events. And at first, I thought we were going to have Carmelo defend against Dragunov in the main event, because I'm very used to the men, closing the show. The men usually seem to be the bigger, more prestigious title. But tonight, due to the star power, and I agree with it after watching the show in its entirety, Becky and Tiffany closed out the show. But before we get there, we have to go over Carmelo and Dragunov. Now, I have had my eye on Dragunov ever since I watched a takeover a couple years ago with him against Walter before he was Gunther. And it was one of the most wild, physical, but at the same time technical matches I have ever seen. It worked on so many levels at that point. It worked on, David versus Goliath. It worked on the in-ring spectacular. It worked on the physicality of it. Just incredible stuff. So I've been a big fan of Dragunov and have wanted him to really make a push in NXT. And I think he is a huge breakout star. The crowd thinks so too. But then again, current champ, Carmelo, I'm a huge fan of too. We know Christian Casanova. He's been in our circles. So it's really great to see a local, homeboy really rise and just, keep on going up. And trust me, NXT is just the beginning for this dude. He is very, very gifted. He does have the it factor, everything you need to make a breakout star and a main eventer. That being said, really happy when he beat Braun for the belt because I wanted to see him get the win. I think his hard work warranted it, but I haven't been a crazy fan of the title run. And, Donnie will call me fickle because he says the second people win a belt, you're ready for them to lose it. And sometimes that's true, unless it's Roman Reigns. So we all know that. But yeah, Carmelo's had it for a little bit, not really long, but I was ready for, to move on. I think he's gotten enough shine to the point where he's established on the NXT brand and in his lane that the loss isn't going to cripple him. He will bounce back in some other way. Whereas Dragunov, this is his second time going against Carmelo. Their first match was an absolute banger, and it really, really was well done. But going into this, again, no question on my bias aside, I was ready for Dragunov because I think he deserves it. I think it'll be more interesting. And I think if you have him lose on this stage twice to Carmelo, it's going to hurt him. You know, if your plan is to do that, don't have them feud. Kind of have them go their separate ways. But anyways, I digress. This match, I texted Donnie as soon as it was done. Holy fucking shit. This thing, there's really no words. You guys need to go and watch it. It exceeded all expectations and created some new ones. They pulled out shit that I just never expected. It was like they had the Tony Khan playbook and watched a bunch of AEW before they went out tonight, because the near falls were plenty, the kickouts were insane, and they all made sense. And it just kept building until the finish, which is what a great, memorable main event does. It builds and it warrants the conclusion. And again, such a physical, technical, sideshow spectacle of, everything you could ask for in a wrestling match. High flying, grounding, everything. The pace was wonderful. They never really let up on the gas. It just kept going, and it just was very brisk and crisp, and the end result was to my liking. It was after a extremely hard-fought battle and multiple times to put him away, Dragunov dethroned Carmelo. And I will stand by and say that is the right call for this time. And I'm very glad, and I'm very excited, and it makes me want to tune in now Tuesday, where I may not have tuned in before, because I would love to see where Dragunov goes with this. I think he has a presence. I think you can do him as a hungry, fighting, aggressive champion, not just a willing to take on all comers like Seth Rollins in that vein, but a proud, driven champion that has to take on every challenge and will not shy. I think there's a lot of good story for Dragunov as champion. And let's just face it, this dude is one of the absolute best in the ring. There's so many dream matches I want with this guy, but I'm very happy. As for the mark, I don't know if I've ever given this mark before, but for the first time, I think, somebody can correct me, maybe even Donnie, this is a total 4.5 count. Like, this goes above the crazy, elusive 4 count that I rarely give. This was something to just, this might be the match of the year right now. No, it doesn't have the cinematic appeal of the WrestleMania Night 1 main event, which is still, up to this point, my favorite match. But pound for pound, in-ring quality, these two guys, they strapped on the rocket and they freaking blasted out of there. And it was wonderful to watch. It was just a joy. And I'm very glad with the result, 4.5 count all the way. Which now, if you've been with me for this ramble, I appreciate it, brings us to our main event. And, oh, by the way, after that match, Dragunov shook his hand in respect, which I really liked. And the crowd gave a standing ovation, which was unbelievably warranted. And it's something that was genuine and not contrived and well deserved. And you love to see it. So on to the main event. But before I do that, I also want to make note This is the first NXT PLE or special event that has recaptured the magic of takeovers. So for me, this felt like a takeover. It had the crowd was raucous, which anyone knows a great crowd can make a great show. And that was no different tonight. They were into it, which you love to see. But also, I started really listening to the commentary. And it's nice to have a two-man commentary team, which is rare in any of wrestling show these days. But Booker T and Vic add something so special that I don't think a Corey Graves, a Michael Cole, or any other, you know, uh, seasoned veteran commentator could for NXT. Booker T adds such an enthusiasm with everyone he's watching, and he does a great, phenomenal job of pushing their stock and making them feel like the next big deal that's developing. And a lot of people don't do that. And I really started listening to it tonight. His joy and the way he just, the elation when he commentates, it's great. And then he's got the straight man, which is Vic, who is great in his role too. They just complement this product so well, and I hope no one changes them up anytime soon. I think they are the perfect pair for NXT. I think they just do the brand justice so much. So I wanted to, give some spotlight. But now, again, before I derail myself, the main event, Becky versus Tiff. What was it? It was an Extreme Rules match. These always make me shudder because Extreme Rules has become somewhat of a cliche to the point where I don't know if there still is, but there was, a pay-per-view based on the match. And it's just one of those things that it sounds great, but what is it? It's a no holds barred. It's a no DQ, essentially, but you just throw the word extreme. And it doesn't really warrant that like over the top moniker, in my view. So I was worried when Becky called this stipulation. Well, I didn't have to worry. This was fantastic. It's not the women's match of the year. That still goes with Becky and Trish in the cage, in my view. But this was damn close. And I think I would have, I get it because Becky's the man, as she is essentially your biggest star on your brand right now. But I think Mello and Dragunov could have also main evented. So it's a tough call. It was a pick 'em. And, I'm not mad either way. But this one, just like Mello and Dragunov, they didn't take their foot off the gas from jump. And in an Extreme Rules match or no DQ or anything of that nature, there usually tends to be a lot of lag and transition and, filler spot. Nothing. Right from the beginning, they went right at each other. Becky brought her cart down with her weapons, and Tiffany went at it. And again, I'm very glad I watched this show tonight. It was a very pleasant, surprising experience, which I wouldn't have normally tuned in, but it was wrestling on a Saturday night. I needed something to take my mind off of, the significance of the day today. For me, it's my deceased father's birthday. So this was a welcome surprise. And I dove into it, and I'm very glad. So I watched it with more intent than I usually do because, truth be told, I will have an NXT, live event or PLE on in the background sometimes when it's airing, but I don't catch everything. It's usually a one or two trick pony for me that I watch the show at all. It's, a couple people I'm interested in, but I watched it tonight, and I really got to look at Tiffany Stratton, and I don't say this very much, but I misjudged her big time. I completely overlooked her gift and her talent and just how naturally fucking good she is in a wrestling ring. I mean, I don't know what her actual background is. I believe it might be a gymnast before NXT, but whatever it is, she has to be the most gifted woman athlete that I've seen in a squared circle since Charlotte Flair. She just takes to it like air. It's unbelievable. She is so polished. There's a fluidity to her moveset and her you know her motion in the ring that I haven't seen on anybody, male or female. She does everything almost picture perfect. Her selling is perfect. Her timing is perfect. Her grace is perfect. I mean, it's just unreal. And, I think it's overshadowed by the Barbie girl, Valley girl character she has with a mean streak. But I really dig it now after tonight. I like it because her character basically is comprised of, somebody who is a princess who wouldn't be able to get rough and tumble, but she surprises you because she is, a beauty queen, but she can get in there and just kick your ass and get down and dirty like anybody else with the best of them. And I like that it's what basically MJF has. He will try to take the shortcuts and avoid as much effort as possible. But if you back him into a corner, he's going to fuck you up. And I like that energy. And I think her character has so much room to go. And I was beyond impressed with Tiffany Stratton tonight. Like, I just was glued watching her because she's so crisp and so talented in the ring that I get it. And she does the absolute prettiest moonsault I've ever seen. I mean, that like climbing the ladder moonsault, jumping up each rope, she does it with complete precision. There's no mistake. And it just nails it every time. And it was wonderful. And then Becky, what can you say about Becky? She is the scrappy main event veteran who has earned her place. She is a homegrown, self-made superstar because she was the low rung of the four horsewomen and she was pushed as such. And now she is the front runner. Popularity wise, I would say she is the most popular woman in all of WWE by far. And she's talented and she gets better and better and she finds, new ways to innovate and new ways to tell stories and new ways to just, perform. And tonight was one of those nights where, they didn't have a ton of death defying moves, but they had some, good crash spots and, shock spots that just went really well. And they didn't take their foot off the gas. It never felt like it lingered from start to finish. It just kept you engaged. And it was at a point where going in, I wholeheartedly wanted Becky to retain because I think it's the right call. I think she elevates the product by having her name and bringing eyes to it that wouldn't normally be there. And I really dig Becky with a title. It's been a while. But I found myself wanting Tiffany to take it because so deserving and so much upside. But I think it's nice to have a face champion in the women's division for a little while. So that being said, it ended with the manhandle slam. I believe it was the second manhandle slam on a pile of chairs, which believable. Tiffany sold like a champ. Becky gets the 1, 2, 3. What a match. What a performance. Unbelievably incredible. Afterwards, the camera pans ringside to Tegan Knox, who is already Becky's announced next challenger. I like Tegan. I think Tegan is, a good talent, interesting to watch. But let's just call a spade a spade. She ain't Tiffany Stratton. She doesn't have that factor. And if Becky just defeated Tiffany, there's nothing about Tegan that shows me that Becky's in any danger, nor do I want to see Tegan dethrone Becky. If Tiffany can't do it right now, then I say just keep the seat warm for Jade Cargill when she's ready. And her and Becky will have a banger, and, it will be a really good moment. So as for the match rating, it wasn't the level of the men's title, but it was so fucking good. It gets a 4. And just like the men's title match, this one got a standing ovation too, and rightfully deserved. When was the last time you can think of 2 matches on one card, let alone back-to-back main events, that got standing ovations? I challenge you because I can't think of it. But yeah, what a great night of wrestling. Unexpected, pleasantly surprised, really, really engaging and fun show. Definitely recommend it for anyone to watch on replay or anytime. And that being said, we're off to Wrestle Dream tomorrow for AEW. And as far as I'm concerned, they have their work cut out for them. They always seem to prove me wrong the night of the pay-per-view, and it always turns out to be an incredible show. They just do pay-per-view very, very well and fulfilling. But going in, I only care about 2 matches, so it'll be interesting. Got its work cut out for them because Mello and Dragunov and Becky and Stratton are stellar matches that are certainly in the contender for match of the year for me so far. So that's all from me. I hope you enjoyed the listen. Go watch NXT and go catch Donnie's exploits because he's always around.